Shalom, and welcome to Light of the Hill Ministries. In today's teaching, we will be talking about Pesach, or as it's commonly called, Passover and unleavened bread. If you want to follow along, I will be posting this in the comment box below. Now, under the teaching, let me state here that there is provision made in the Torah for those who may have been defiled by death or due to some other circumstance, where they were unable to bring the Pesach offering to the temple on the 14th day of the first month. They were allowed to make the Pesach offering the following month on the 14th day. But there were men who were defiled for a being of a man, so that they were not able to perform the Passover on that day. So they came before Moshe and Aaron that day, and those men said to him, "We are defiled for the being of a man. Why are we withheld from bringing near the offering of Yahweh at its appointed time among the children of Israel?" And Moshe said to them, "Wait, let me hear what Yahweh commands concerning you." And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, when any male of you or your generation is unclean for a being, is far away on a journey, he shall still perform the Passover of Yahweh. On the 14th day of the second month, between the evening, they perform it. With unleavened bread and bitter herbs, they eat it. They do not leave of it until morning, and they do not break a bone of it. According to all the laws of the Passover, they perform it." Numbers 9, verses 6 through 12. There are several aspects of preparation that must take place before the Pesach slaughter or the meal of unleavened bread is consumed. The first step is the selection of the proper lamb. The Pesach must be a male lamb or goat of the first year and free of any defects. Once selected, the lamb is to remain with the family until the day of slaughtering to assure that it is defect-free. "Speak to all the congregation of Israel, saying, on the 10th month, on the 10th day of this month, each one of them is to take for himself a lamb, according to the house of his father, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of the beings. According to each man's need, you make your count for the lamb. Let the lamb be a perfect one, a year-old male. Take it from the sheep or from the goats, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. Then all the assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it between the evenings." Exodus 12, verses 3 through 6. Another part of the preparation is the accounting of the household, and where we remember what it is said above, that is, according to each man's need, you make your account for the lamb. This accounting of the household is important, since the Torah teaches that nothing from Pesach is to be left over until the morning. "And do not leave of it until morning, and what remains of it until morning you are to burn with fire." Exodus 12, verse 10. They do not leave of it until morning, and they do not break a bone of it. According to all the laws of the Passover, they perform it. Numbers 9, verse 12. "And no leaven should be seen with you in all your border for 7 days. Neither should any of the meat which you slaughter in the evening in the first day stay all night until morning." Deuteronomy 16, verse 4. We learn from this accounting that everyone in Israel counts, regardless of how much or how little they eat. We may also reverse this lesson and say that the Pesach lamb dies for all of Israel, regardless of how great or how small their sins are. We may also draw the conclusion that nothing of this sacrifice is to be wasted. In other words, we should make full benefit of the Messiah's sacrifice and leave nothing unredeemed by his precious blood. A third part of the preparation for the Pesach and unleavened bread is the removal of the leaven from the homes, property, and lives. Here we remember that leaven is a symbol of mixture or sin in our lives. Your boasting is not good. Do you not know that a little leaven leavens the entire lump? 1 Corinthians 5, verse 6. Leaven is a substance that, like yeast, spreads throughout the dough and causes it to rise. This enables the bread to be puffy and soft. In some scriptures, sin is compared with leaven. Why? Because sin grows relentlessly. Then, when desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it has been accomplished, brings forth death. James 1:15. Sin spreads gradually. For this reason, even as though through one man sin did enter into the world, a death through sin, and thus sin spread to all men because all sinned. Romans 5, verse 12. We may remember that the forbidden tree in the Garden of Eden was unique in that it was the only tree of mixed fruit, for it brought forth the knowledge of good and evil. So it is that we are to remove all mixing from our lives. And out of the ground, Yahweh Elohim made every tree to grow that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. Of the tree of life in the midst of the garden, of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Genesis 2, verse 9. But you do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. Genesis 2, verse 17. We may recall that we are likewise prohibited from adding to the Torah. Do not add to the Torah which I command you, and do not take away from it, so as to guard the commands of Yahweh your Elohim, which I am commanding you. Deuteronomy 4, verse 2. All the words I'm commanding you, guard to do it. Do not add to it, nor take away from it. Deuteronomy 12, verse 32. Yahushua pointedly taught that the Pharisaic additions to the Torah were to be considered leaven. And Yahushua said to them, mind, and be aware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, because we brought no bread. But Yahushua, aware of this, said to them, O you of little belief, why do you reason among yourselves, because you brought no bread? Do you still not understand, and neither remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000, how many baskets you picked up? Or the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many large baskets you picked up? How is it that you do not understand that I did not speak to you concerning bread, but to be aware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees? Then they understood that he did not say to beware of the leaven of the bread, but of the teaching of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Matthew 16, verses 6 through 12. Paul clearly understood Messiah's teaching when he wrote, your boasting is not good. Do you not know that a little leaven leavens the entire lump? Therefore, cleanse out the old leaven, so that you are a new lump, as you are unleavened. For also Messiah, our Passover, was offered for us. So then, let us observe the festival, not with old leaven, nor with the leaven of evil and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. 1 Corinthians 5, verses 6 through 8. So it is that we prepare for Passover and unleavened bread by first removing all the mixtures and leaven from our hearts and homes. 7 days you shall eat the unleavened bread. Indeed, on the first day you cause leaven to cease from your homes. For whomever eats leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that being shall be cut off from Israel. And on the first day it is set apart. It is a set apart gathering. And on the seventh day you have a set apart gathering. No work at all is done on them. Only that which is eaten by every being, that alone is prepared for you. And you shall guard the festival of unleavened bread. For on the same day I brought your divisions out of the land of Mizraim. And you shall guard this day throughout your generations, an everlasting law. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, in the evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month in the evening. For 7 days, no leaven is to be found in your homes. For if anyone eats what is leavened, that same being shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether sojourner or native of the land. Exodus 12, verses 15 through 19. Unleavened bread is to be eaten the 7 days, and whatever is leavened is not to be seen with you. And unleavened is not to be seen with you within your borders, within all your borders. Exodus 13, verse 7. Do not offer the blood of my slaughterings with leaven. And do not let the slaughtering of the festival of the Passover remain until morning. Exodus 34, verse 25. And no leaven should be seen with you in all your border for 7 days. Neither should any of the meat which you slaughter in the evening on the first day stay all night until morning. Deuteronomy 16, verse 4. After the preparations are complete, the lamb is chosen, observed, and declared acceptable. The household is accounted for, and the leaven is removed. It is time to slaughter the Pesach. Originally, each family slaughtered their own kid or lamb at their own dwelling place. When the tabernacle was erected, all such ritual slaughtering was done at the tabernacle, or later at the temple in Jerusalem. We are to remember and keep or perform the Passover. Some might say that since we do not have the temple standing and do not have the Levites functioning as priests, we do not need a lamb since Messiah is our lamb. While I agree that he is our lamb, however, we do not negate the command to eat the lamb. The lamb is as important to the feast as having a booth is for Sukkot. It is a memorial to what happened when we were in Egypt. This may come to a shock to some, but I do believe that one should eat the lamb as a memorial, because it is one of many symbols that Yahweh's judgment passed over us when we were in Egypt. And we as children of Israel should experience what they experienced through the symbols commanded to us by Yahweh himself. Not only that, Yahushua himself kept the Passover in such a manner that was commanded by his Father. If he didn't, he wouldn't be the Messiah and would have been cut off from his people. But the man who is clean and is not on a journey and has failed to perform the Pesach, that same being shall be cut off from among his people, because he did not bring the offering of it at its appointed time. That man bears his sin. Numbers 9, verse 13. Since we know that this scripture would have applied to Yahushua, this also applies to us, since we're to walk even as he walked. The one who says he stays in him ought to himself also to walk even as he walked. 1 John 2, verse 6. Yahweh walked in the Torah and did the things that pertain to him. So also we should walk in the Torah and do the things that which pertains to us. Performing the rehearsal of the Passover and unleavened bread is doing that which pertains to all of those who love Yahweh and his Son Yahushua. Hallelujah. In the next teaching, we will continue the study of how to keep the Passover and unleavened bread, Yahweh willing. If you like this teaching, please comment, like, share, subscribe, and click on the notification button to be notified of the next teaching. Yahweh bless, and shalom, pure homes.